Hello everyone, welcome back. STL Puckhead back with another video. Today I wanted to talk about a few more of my 1960 Topps cards. This one, in a nod to Chris from Missouri, I'm going to call the Chris Vintage Yoda find. So these are a few cards that I bought off of Chris a while back after he had set up at a show. So I didn't buy any cards from him at this show, but I was looking hot and heavy for 1960 Topps cards. I had found a few there at the show, but none that really stood out and jumped out and said they need to be part of my collection. So at the time, I didn't know anything about, I think it's called CSA Grading. Evidently, they were a grading company that was, I guess, fairly legit back in the 90s, but I had never heard of them. One of the guys there had a CSA Roberto Clemente in a 5 that I thought looked pretty good, but he wanted SGC and PSA prices for it, and I just wasn't willing to pay that much money for a card graded by a company that I'd never heard before. And this guy had a few other raw cards there too from the 60 set. But this dealer was talking about some of the cards that he had bought. He didn't really know if they were authentic or not. So that didn't really give me warm fuzzies about buying from this guy. I guess rightfully so. But there were some amazing cards at this show. Unfortunately, like I said, none that just told me they needed to go home with me that day. Well, I'd been talking to Chris. I think I had just... I'd maybe been working on my set for a few months at this point, decided that I really wanted to dig in and build this 1960 Topps set. So Chris said that he would keep an eye out for some for me, and we exchanged numbers and stuff that day. Well, I get back home, and this card show was probably 30-40 minutes to the south of us. And later that afternoon, I get a call from Chris that he had picked up some 1960 Topps cards that he wanted me to come take a look at. So I met him in the dugout in Columbia at the local card shop and looked at these cards and was pretty blown away with their condition. Chris threw a number out there, and I thought it was fair, and I didn't even haggle with him. Well, fast forward a few months, and I had sent them off to get graded with SGC and got all 3 of them back. And I was pretty pleased with the grades, especially on one. It really blew me away. So to this day, I still kind of feel bad for buying these cards at a good price off of Chris and then getting the card I got back with one of the grades I got on it. So I'll pause the video and I'll switch the setup around, and I'll show you the cards and talk about them some more. I'll be right back with you. All right, so now that I got everything switched around, let me tell you a little bit about these cards you're looking at. So like I said, these are the ones I picked up from Chris after that show. The Brooks Robinson in a 6, Bob Gibson in a 7.5, Harmon Killebrew in a 5. So when I looked at them and saw them raw, I was really happy with them and thought they were great cards. I really had no idea that Bob Gibson would come back as a 7.5. So I was pretty thrilled about it, as you could probably guess. Since this day, I've felt bad that Chris shot me a fair price on it, and I took it and then had one come back graded as high as it did. But here recently, I was up at Chris's house helping him inventory his collection, and what a collection that dude has, by the way. But we were talking about the Bob Gibson, and we were going through his stuff, and he had a Bob Gibson 60, Bob Gibson in a PSA 5, and he said, if I had any idea that Bob Gibson was going to grade a 7.5, that would be in my collection, and this SGC 5 would be in yours. So I just thought that was kind of funny. So in all reality, this Bob Gibson is probably the second most valuable card I have in my collection. Not that it's extremely valuable compared to some of the cards that some of these guys on YouTube have, but for me, it's a special card. So when I got back into collecting again, you know, hot and heavy, a few years ago, I didn't have a single card that was worth $100 or more, because like I said, I'd been an accumulator. So I had just been ripping packs and kind of gambling luck of the draw with what I drew, you know, from the pack. So when I got into this again, I had 3 graded cards were all that I had in my collection. And so, you know, now I'm up to, you know, somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 graded cards, and I've just been able to improve my collection tremendously compared to how I started. So I've been able to do that, like I said, just being focused on what it is that I'm buying. So these 3 cards I paid in the neighborhood of $200 for, and I think when I had them graded, they were $30 a piece at that point. So I'm probably barely over $300 into these cards, and I would put the Bob Gibson probably in the $300 range, if not a little bit higher. So again, this is just a testament to where if you buy the right cards from the right people, you can definitely, you know, build up the value of your collection and find some cards that you're definitely proud to own. This Bob Gibson card is just amazing to me. To have a random dude come up to Chris at a card shop with these 3 cards, I don't even know where he got them from, where they came from, anything like that, and then Chris to buy them and pass them on to me. I'm just so grateful. I can't thank Chris enough. And again, that's just another reason why I love this 60 Topps set. All right, so I hope you all enjoyed this video, and until the next one. But in the meantime, remember, collecting cards may not be the best way to spend your money, but it's sure better than spending it on women and booze. Talk to you next time.